with its enormous size, its beautiful intramuscular fat, tender meat and bold flavors, this is a must-try steak.
Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
Yes, today we're cooking one of the most popular steaks. If you're a frequent watcher of this channel, you know by now that I slaughtered my neighbor's bull. Yeah, it was a beauty, a black Angus bull, and together with our butcher Herman Tavela, we took it apart, and that always gives the opportunity to cut your own steaks. And one of the steaks that I cut was this. Look at this giant, 2 kilograms, aka 4 pounds. Look at this thing. Easily stands up on its own. The size is super impressive. Now, as you might notice, it's a T-bone, but it still has a little bit extra meat on this side. So it's very much in between the full porterhouse and a T-bone steak. It's got a beautiful amount of intramuscular fat. This thing is an absolute beauty. Now, of course, you have the bones, so it's not going to be the full 2 kilograms of meat. You also have a lot of fat on the outside. So I think we're going to end up with about a little less than 3 pounds of meat. So that's going to be the perfect steak for about 2 to 3 persons. And what is the first thing that we need to do? Well, we need to season it. And therefore, I'm going to use the PITMASTERX Texas seasoning. It's the perfect steak seasoning. And since it's so thick that it's almost a roast, you can put on a lot of seasoning. And for the fat cap, I have a special treatment in mind. The idea is that we're going to render down the fat so that it's cooked and actually enjoyable to eat. There's also some silver skin in between the fat and the meat. I'm going to score that, actually cutting into the silver skin. That way, when the meat contracts while warming up, it's not going to get all bent out of shape. A little bit of fat is falling off, that's okay. Not a problem. What I'm going to do is score the fat a little bit. Even more fat is going to fall off like that. Everything that comes off is fine. And with the fat still on top of the steak, I'm going to put salt in, just rub it in real good. And that's going to help render down the fat while it's cooking. I'm just going to let it sit as is while we fire up our grill. And to cook the steak, I'm going to use the kettle grill. I'm going to take the grill grates out, put in a couple of bricks, creating a direct and indirect zone. Then I'm going to put in some charcoal. Once the fire starter burned down, I'm going to add a couple of chunks of smoke wood and then add coconut briquettes for a low and slow cook. And put the grill grates back on. I'm going to close the lid, open up the top vent and close the bottom vent almost all the way. I'm aiming for a smoke temperature of around 120 degrees Celsius, which is around 240 degrees Fahrenheit. And with a thick chunk of meat like this, I'm going to stick in the thermometer just to make sure that I got my temps right. There we go. And now this can go in the barbecue. There we go. What a monster. There's one thing that I need to add to this. If you put it in the barbecue, don't stand it up straight, because this half will cook faster than the bottom half just because of the way that the kettle grill works. So I'm just going to lay it down and then rotate it during the cook so that it cooks evenly. I'm going to start with the fat cap pointing towards the heat and the fire, like that. And I will just wait and keep my eye on the thermometer. I just got the notification from my wireless thermometer that the steak reached a core temperature of 52 degrees Celsius. That is my cue to take the steak off. Look at that. Now that is one beautiful steak. Of course, I would love to slice into this and then just start eating, but we're halfway through the process. Now we're going to grill it. But before I can do that, I have to let it rest first. And if you have a big chunk of meat like this, it's going to take at least 10 minutes. But that's a perfect amount of time to put more charcoal in the grill and get it up to searing temperatures. I'm going to get the grill grates out, remove the bricks, and add more charcoal to the grill. For now, I'm going to set the steak aside because I'm going to take out the PITMASTERX cast iron pan. If you don't know about it yet, this is the PITMASTERX cast iron pan. It is hand polished. This thing is freaking awesome. If you want to know more about it, you can find it in our web shop. Links down below. But for now, I'm going to melt some butter in this pan. And to the butter, I'm adding a little bit of onion, some garlic, a little bit of chives, and some parsley. Basically, I'm making a melted herb butter that I'm going to use for basting after grilling. And of course, this is going to need its own seasoning. I'll be putting on a little bit of PITMASTERX Texas seasoning. Once the butter melted, I'm going to switch it off, set it aside, and let it cool down a little bit. Now you and me can focus on searing off that steak. I remove the thermometer. I'm going to place it straight over the hot coals. Gonna get a nice sear, but don't forget to move it around. I'm only gonna need a quick sear to get that char on. Flip it around, and then I'm gonna place it in the hot butter, like that. We'll bring everything together. The flavor of the hot butter. Let's give it a nice little bath. There we go. No need to rest it any further. It's already been rested. We got a nice crust on. Let's get this to the cutting board. Look at that beauty. Wow. All right, let's get a slice out of this. Absolute perfect edge to edge pink. It's still quite hot on the outside of the sear, of course. Now let's go in here. There we go. Look at that bone. You can see the edge to edge pinkness. That is absolutely perfect. That comes from the reverse sear method. Keep that in mind. Cook first, rest, and then sear it off. All right, let me put this aside real quick. Well, let's start slicing into this. That is amazing. This is the tenderloin. The other part was the loin. And of course the tenderloin section, which is the smallest one, is the most tender one. It needs to be pink as can be, without being undercooked. And the way that I love to eat my steaks, hold on, is just getting out a whole loaf of bread and just start slicing it up. And this bread is here to make sure that we soak up all of the juices. No paper towels, just bread. A bone to gnaw on, and that butter as a dressing. And this is it. The best part of searing a beautiful T-bone steak. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Oh yeah, it's like pulled beef. Wow, that's good. A little bit of the butter. Insane.